Hello and welcome to another episode of Political Dregs with me, Hamish Hunter. We've got Calvin, Amir and Joel joining today.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
How's it going?
And today we're going to be talking about the latest controversy sweeping the Black Lives Matter movement, which is the taking the knee. This is something which I believe has come out of the United States of America with certain sportsmen who dropped to their knee during the national anthem as a form of protest. It's become something which we've seen a bit in Britain now. There was a few weeks ago, everyone was asked to go to their front doors and take the knee. We've had pictures of Keir Starmer kneeling in his office. And this week we saw the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, being asked on the radio whether he would take the knee. And he caused a bit of controversy by saying that he would only take the knee for the Queen and when proposing to his wife. And he thought that it was a bit of a sort of Game of Thrones thing. So we thought it'd be interesting to see whether the political dregs would ever take the knee, and if so, in what circumstances, and what they think about it generally. So let's get right into that. Calvin, would you ever take the knee?
I bow for no man, but Her Majesty the Queen and the Almighty God. So
The King
no.
of the Queen? No. Why not? Why not? It's a symbol of...
Is that the short answer or the
subjugation.
long answer?
A symbol of what? It's ridiculous. It's
Isn't it? It's a symbol of respect.
Respect to who? Not for yourself, obviously.
Why'd you say that?
Because you're bowing before another person. To subjugate yourself to what end? I don't see the purpose of it. It's all this bollocks about taking privilege from one group and passing it to another, which is not how you get equality. That's overcompensation. And it's nonsense. Let's just.
So it started in America with
all nonsense does.
I mean, was he a quarterback? He was like taking the knee during the American anthem, national anthem.
Well, that was for a specific reason, which was police brutality in America at the time, which obviously, as we've discussed, was not dealt with and is a specific problem in America, which may or may not have been worthy of taking a knee for, but. No, so I certainly agree with Calvin. The gesture is not for one person to make to another, certainly in this country, and I think it's got really connotations.
There's a difference. I think there's a difference between sort of getting down on one knee in front of somebody, which I don't understand as that's the sort of origins about it. It's something that you might do, as you say, at the start of a football match or in a moment of commemoration. So what about if we're not saying you're taking the knee in front of anybody, but you're just sort of doing it to, like you might put your hand on your heart or something.
Look, when the national anthem plays, you should stand up, not just take the knee. It's ridiculous. Amir, what do you think?
Well, I understand why they're doing it because of that cop in Minneapolis who crushed that
George
Floyd's neck by
It's been happening long before that.
Of course it has.
Yeah,
but
it started with Kaepernick.
It's quite symbolic.
It exploded with George Floyd, but it started with Kaepernick, and then there was a big dispute with the NFL. Didn't allow him to.
So I'm not sure.
He wasn't picked up by any NFL teams. And then there was, talk that there'd been some sort of conspiracy with the rich owners not to pick him for another team because of all of this controversy. So, there was an issue there. But, I mean, actually, if you think about it, every single Premier League player took a knee yesterday.
Did they?
Kickoff. I mean, so there was no real discussion about that. What if one player had not wanted to? They'd have looked...
Well, they'd be labelled a racist, wouldn't they?
That's the peer pressure.
I mean, that puts them in a difficult position as they're, essentially part of their job. They're being told that it's been clearly expected of them to make that statement.
One of the things, I agree with that, and I think it's a bit worrying where I don't necessarily object to anybody doing that if they want to. It's their own personal thing. In the same way that if someone wants to bow their head in prayer or cross themselves, then that's their own business. But you're right. It's this kind of
like an opt-out. It's an opt-out of the protest. You can't opt in. You have to opt out, and then you look very difficult if you do opt out.
And I also object to, just on a sort of linguistic point of view, taking the knee. I mean, the whole thing is so American and horrible. I mean, what do you mean taking the knee? You mean kneeling? It's called kneeling.
But no, that comes from medieval times, doesn't it? Where if you kneel before someone, you're
well, that's what Dominic Raab was on about today, and the best thing he's done. I'll give Raab some credit finally for where it's due. you know, he did say very clearly he wouldn't do it, and he doesn't. So I think that was a pretty good statement from him.
I'm not going to be controversial.
But he did well. He did well today.
He did.
I'm not going to be controversial. I'm going to agree, but let me just throw in a few things. Firstly, I think if you do something, you have to know why. And I think a lot of people who are doing this action don't really know why they're doing it. I think not many people.
Do Premier League footballers really agree with the aims of the Marxist aims of Black Lives Matter? You know, appropriating their wealth and
this is a question. Do they know that Black Lives Matter in America and Black Lives Matter here in this country might have different aims and different agendas? Are they doing it in solidarity with American Black Lives Matter or this country or other countries? These are questions. Yeah, and I'm not quite sure that the people who are paid by a capitalist society, paid a lot of money actually, want the destruction and demolition and dismantlement of the system that gives them their bread and butter. So these are questions, and in that context, I have reservations about this matter in general. But then beyond that, I'm thinking, Dominic Raab, why did he say that Queen and Country? I think it's another diversion for the government. I think it was a pre-planned diversion. I think his answer was premeditated. They've obviously thought about this. And it goes to what happened later with Matt Hancock and the whole testing and the tracing system of the pandemic. The government is really messed up.
It's not like you to be a conspiracy theorist, Amir. I think to take this to another context, we see the same thing with poppies. Now, I absolutely would wear a poppy, and I do wear a poppy all the time, because I think it's a sign of respect to those who have fought in wars for us. But we see the same thing, that it's an opt-out process. You're forced to do it, because if you don't,
indeed we do. And to take this point further, specifically to do with the Premier League, I know you two don't like football, but actually there's a wider point here. Premier League during Armistice, just after Armistice Day, all the players, there was a couple of seasons ago, all the players were supposed to wear poppies on their shirts, but a couple of foreign players and a Serbian player who played for Man United opted out and said, I don't want to use the poppy, I don't want to wear the poppy, and he was obviously allowed to opt out. But could you imagine any of these players now doing that?
Not at all. We haven't heard from Hamish. Would you take the knee, mate?
Well, look, I'm not going to be able to say with a straight face that I'd only ever kneel for the Queen.
Oh, God.
Okay. But look,
let's not get degenerate up in here, please.
I don't. It's not something that I think I'd be moved to do. I think I've said before that I agree that Black Lives Matter and that racism is bad, and there's a serious problem with racism in America and in how they police things. But no, I'm not getting on my knee about it. And I don't think anyone else should be either, because actually it is a sort of subjugatory type of posture. And actually you should be standing up. Stand up to racism, remember that? Not kneel down. And certainly not kneel down to anyone else. I did see some photos of people, some pathetic pinko metro bleeding heart liberals, I think probably in America, because as Calvin says, all nonsense emanates from there, sort of kneeing down and sort of licking the boots of some African American.
Well, let's hope that was clickbait or something weird on Twitter, and let's hope that was fake news.
But that's all sort of really bizarre. So no, stand up to racism. Yeah. Take a knee.
Let's kick racism out of football.
Yeah,
see, I know my sport.
Taking a knee is frankly...
That was a long time ago. That shows you how long. The Premier League, the football clubs have made tremendous efforts to combat racism for years and years, actually. And so this is I think this is a highly overtly political statement.
And is it going to solve racism? And it goes back to what we've always been talking about.
There have been other much more effective campaigns that have, and many of the players, of course, have done great things about it. Individually, and collectively, the players have made efforts to combat racism much more effectively than everyone being essentially shamed into taking the knee.
Is the British public going to understand? Is it really going to combat systematic institutional racism that exists throughout our society? I don't think so.
Which society is that, Amir?
Western society. How's that?
I was going to say, I don't think we have systematic institutional racism, but to give them credit, the footballers, I think there is racism in football. Of the few occasions that I hear of proper racism in this country, it tends to happen at football matches.
No, but I mean beyond that, Calvin, you're
that's
missing
true.
the greater point, which
Give
is
me the greater point,
how,
Amir. I'm ready for it.
how many black football managers are there, for example? So there is a
There are
problem
an increasing number, to be fair.
there is a problem. You can't just
No, I just said there
whitewash
is.
this.
In football is one of the areas that there is a problem with racism.
I think we've established the question that we were asking, which is that none of us would take the knee. None of us think it's a particularly effective form of protest. We think it's better to stand up to racism than to kneel down to it. What do you think? Let us know in the comments on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Like this video and please subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any video. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
So,
What was that?
I am not on form today. And scene. Shall we say hello to some friends of the show? We've got a lot of friends now. We've got a lot of subscribers, getting a lot of comments. Anyone want to give a shout out?
Sure.
I've got one. There's a Mr. Cecil Rhodes from says Zimbabwe. So I think he says hello. I think he would have been a big fan of the show. Actually, on a personal note, I studied in the Rhodes Library when I was a young man 20 years ago at university, and I think it's appalling, really, to think that endowment is so significant and so what he's done.
Yeah, are they going to give the money back?
This has become a whole episode itself. Amir, have you got any friends?
Yeah, I've got loads of friends, but I can't.
Don't believe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give a
Loads
shout
of
out to
friends.
Joel Fee. He's a regular commenter on YouTube. Thank you, Joel. We appreciate it.
Good name as well.
I'd just like to bring to attention someone who will remain nameless on our Facebook, who commented on one of our videos discussing Black Lives Matter, said, "Black Lives Matter equal ISIS, God bless the Queen. Please never darken our door again, whoever you are." Oh, I said darken the door. Is that racist?